Hello everyone, I am back on my Incredible Chess channel and this time I'm going to show you a game played by one of the most creative chess player in the current era. His name is Richard Rapport and he has won a very beautiful game against Arjun Erigaisi, Indian youngster who is a rising star, and I believe that he is going to be the world chess champion in coming years. But in this game which we will be looking at, this is not that easy game for him. Maybe he will forget this game and play some good games in the next 4 rounds which are going to be there. This was the 9th round of Tata Steel Masters tournament. Arjun Erigaisi was playing with white pieces. Richard Rapport was playing with black pieces. They started with d4, knight to f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop to b4. When you play this bishop b4 move, it shows that okay, you are going to play a very rock solid game. But when a player like Richard Rapport is playing Nimzo Indian opening, it is not that solid. It is going to be tricky, and that's what it happened in this game. So guys, stay tuned with me till the end and understand what really happened in the game, and like this video, share this video with your friends also, and if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So here Arjun decided to play e3 and then b6. The bishop is going towards b7 square, I will say, and now after knight g e2 he played knight to e4. This is a very interesting move. He is putting some pressure over here, and maybe the bishop will be controlling this e4 square followed by f5. So he is saying like, I'm not going to go for the traditional moves like castle and so on. I'm going to play something interesting. So here Arjun played queen to c2, supporting the knight on c3, bishop b7, because this knight was under attack by the queen. It needs to be supported. a3, now the bishop is under attack, so he captures the knight over here. Knight captures knight, knight captures knight, and then queen captures knight. And now in this position he plays d6. Of course you need to get your pieces in the game. So here you can see that Richard Rapport had multiple opportunities to castle, but he is delaying the castle. He is not going for the castle. He is getting his pieces in the game as quickly as possible, right? Well, I will tell you one thing. If he castles in this position, which was possible move, then white might go for something like f3 followed by e4, and in some cases you can even play one daring move like bishop to d3, inviting black to capture on g2. But I will say like capturing on g2 is little bit risky, because after rook to g1 the bishop is under attack. You need to move the bishop somewhere, and the moves like bishop d2 followed by long castle, this rook will be putting some pressure. Or you can even play something like b4, bishop b2, and trying to play d5 and putting more pressure over here. Or directly you can start with d5 move. The checkmate threat is there, and you need to save it maybe with f6 move or even g6 move, and then you can already see that white is getting a lot of play for the sacrificed pawn. The bishop is coming on h6 square, and black's task is not that easy. So here he is delaying the castle. He played d6 in this position, and after this he played b3. Of course the bishop needs to be developed. He is going for this, not that, sorry, he is going for this diagonal, okay. And now here he played yet another move which is considered not so good in normal opening principles, that you should not move your queen early in the game. But Richard Rapport, as I mentioned earlier, he thinks in a little bit different way. He is never going for the normal norms like normal principles, and strong players always understand this thing, that when to follow the rules and when to break the rules. And now here goes queen h4, the move which looks very weird, right? Like, why on earth he is moving the queen? It is not even threatening something in this position or what, but he had some different ideas in the position. Here white played, means Arjun played bishop to b2, he played bishop e4. Again he is playing the same piece which was already developed. Why is he doing this thing? Well, I will tell you one thing. Earlier also the idea of bishop e4 was there, but white can just simply play f3. So he played queen h4, discouraging the idea of f3. And now he is provoking one thing also, that queen h4 move is provoking g3. But if you play g3, this kind of a move, this bishop's diagonal will be opened up and white will be in trouble. So queen h4 is a very tricky idea. So bishop to b2, bishop e4, are getting ready for some kind of attack on the queen side if at any point white castles on that side. Another thing is that you cannot just long castle in this position because of the obvious reason the pawn on f2 will be hanging in that case. So that's not a good idea. So here Arjun first of all supports the pawn on f2 by playing queen to d2. And now can you guess the move which he played in this position? You can take a pause, think about it, and then look at the video. Okay, I hope that you have thought for a while. And here the surprising move, which actually came as a surprise for me also, because I was thinking like maybe he will develop the knight on d7 square or even c6 square, going for like knight a5 and putting some pressure over here. But he plays a move which I did not even think. Maybe Arjun also did not think about this move. He played g5, which is a very interesting move. The idea of g5 is like he wants to just keep pushing the pawn forward, okay, and put some pressure on the king side, because he has understood that white is going to long castle at some point in the game. Okay, so here Arjun says like, okay, g4, I need to do something about it. I need to play h3, discouraging g4. But Richard did not stop here. He went on to play g4, because you cannot just capture the pawn because the rook on h1 is hanging, so you cannot go for that thing. So he plays g4, and now finally Arjun says like, okay, I need to long castle, I need to safeguard my king. But in this position he came up with an interesting idea. Although knight d7 should be preferred in this position, developing the last piece, you can say, so that you can long castle in this position and something. But long castle also has some kind of tricky ideas from white side. If you long castle, then c5 move followed by bishop to a6. These things are there and black needs to be careful. So instead of going for all these things, he plays a move which is little bit bluff, you can say. He plays rook g8, okay, which is an interesting move. It is not a very bad move or something. He's saying like, okay, I will delay the castle because knight can be developed on c6 as well as d7 square. But okay, you can prefer that move also. Okay, so here queen to e2. Again he is trying to play f3 in this position, and now he plays queen h5, stopping f3 ideas, because if you play f3 in this position, the pawn will be lost. Not only the pawn, the rook on h1 as well as d1 will also be lost because queen is under attack. I hope you can understand this thing. Okay, fine. So opponent's ideas are very important to be understood, and whenever it's possible for us, we should try to stop our opponent's idea. This is called as the prophylactic thinking, right? And another thing which is happening after queen h5, if needed, black can always swing over the queen to the queen side and try to attack something on this side of the board. Okay, rook g1 was played in this position, and after rook to g1, finally he decided to bring the knight in the game. He plays knight d7, plays queen to e1. Okay, fair enough, good idea. And one thing I would like to tell you, that h into g4 will be a mistake, because instead of capturing on g4, white has a good move, that is queen h2, and the rook on g1 will be lost because the bishop cannot move anywhere. The rook doesn't have any squares, and nobody can actually support the rook on g1 square. Okay, white can play f3 move, and then we can even go for queen into g1. He will get the piece back, but this is action down position, and clearly it is black who is better in this situation. So g4 pawn cannot be captured, so he first plays queen e1. Now the idea is that g4, and if you capture it back, then f3 is the idea. There is no time to play queen h2, because if you play queen h2, okay, white can just simply play the bishop to e2 square, and the pawn will be saved. So that's why Richard went on to play g captures h3, bishop to e2, the queen is under attack, queen moves to h6 square, the pawn on e3 is slightly under attack, you can say. Okay, g into h3, which is a normal move. Now finally he goes for the long castle. Now the rook was there on a8 square, it is coming back in the game. You can say it is back in the game like rook on d8, and now he plays rook to g4. The bishop is under attack, so here he plays f5, rook captures g8, rook captures g8, and now he plays h4. Well, the pawn on h4 is free pawn, you can say, but if you capture the pawn, let's suppose you capture the pawn on h4 square, then white will have some interesting ideas related to f3. If the queens are exchanged in this position, the bishop needs to go back, and white will get a lot of play with the move rook h1. The pawn on h7 is very difficult to be protected all the time. Maybe you can try to play rook g7 in this position, try to protect the pawn, but white can always play d5 move. If e5 is played, I think f4 move is also there, and white is getting some play for sure in this position. Okay, so he does not go for that thing. Instead of this, he just simply gets the rook on g2 square, and now here the real fun starts. Okay, the rook is on the second rank, and we all know this thing that whenever the rook enters in opponent's camp, it is pretty dangerous for opponent. Okay, so here h5 was played. He saves the pawn over here. f4 f4 is the move which black plays in this position, because he needs to attack the pawn on e3, and if possible, if the second rank opens up, there are certain tactics which might happen in this case. So here he plays f3 move, and after f3 he plays queen captures h5, a very good move, because you cannot really capture. If you capture here, then black can just capture on e2, the queen is under attack, and the pawn is also going to be captured on e3, or you can just start pushing the pawn forward. The bishop on b2 is not playing any role in the game. But after queen to h5, here Arjun played a move which is a big blunder. Means usually he never blunders even in blitz games or something, but when you are constantly playing under pressure against such an opponent which is causing you a lot of trouble right from the opening, because he played a very creative opening. He played in this position, Arjun played the move that is bishop to f1, which was a big blunder, you can say, because after rook c2 check, he decided to resign the game, because no matter what happened, white cannot save the checkmate. If you play king b1, okay, you can win the queen with rook e2 followed by because this is a check over here, but means like you can win the queen like this. But if you want to go for something more, queen h2 is the move, and now white cannot stop the checkmate. Rook is going to capture the b2 bishop, followed by rook a2 check and queen b2 or queen c2. Like it is just going to be a checkmate. Like okay, after like king a1, I think it is just a checkmate, because bishop is already controlling. Means I was just talking like about if you capture the e4, rook b2 check, king a1, rook a2 check here, and then you can give queen b2 or queen c2. It's a check and mate. And no matter how many pieces you sacrifice in the way, it's not going to help you. If you give up the bishop, you can just capture. Still the checkmate will not, you don't need to capture here. Okay, you can just capture the bishop because rook a2 check is still there. So in this completely hopeless position, after bishop f1 big blunder, rook c2 check, and Arjun decided to throw in the towel. I hope that you enjoyed the game analysis, although it is a sad thing for Team India, you can say, Indian fans, that Arjun Erigaisi lost in this game. But as I mentioned at the start of the video, that we are hoping that Arjun will play very well in the next 4 rounds which are remaining. This was 9th round of this Tata Steel Chess Masters tournament. We'll be meeting very soon with some new content, some new video. Till that moment, thank you. Love you all.